Well, you
they'll
don't realize
be all
the
right.
impact. You don't realize the impact you're making, even with that little stuff. I did that with mine too. Something that you might consider, I don't know how old your kids are, but I bought my kids these journals last year for Christmas, and it was like mom and me kind of thing. So it had all of these like each day, and they were different style or whatever, but they have like prompts in there. And so like so when you open the journal, it's like, this is mom's side and this is kid's side.
Aww.
And it's like the same stuff. And then you do like, you draw a picture or you write something, and it's got all these cool prompts in there. And we were trying to do that every night. And it's things like gratitude, or like, you know, what's something cool that you did today, or what's something that you're afraid of. And it just kind of gets them to, you know, open up and share in different ways, like artistic ways of writing, of drawing, of whatever.
That's awesome.
It was kind of fun.
Steal the link from you for that if you ordered it online.
Yeah, I got them on Amazon. I'll send you the link for them.
Okay,
really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, we would love to do that, because we just had blank journals, and it gets hard. I think prompts will work a lot better with kids if they know a specific, because they would keep writing the same things over and over after a certain, and then it kind of fizzled out, because it's like, you're funny and you're snuggly and like just repetitive stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you cook well. It's like, oh, thanks.
God, I hate cooking. I'm dating a guy now that cooks, and he cooks really good. And the kids are just like, I love it when he cooks.
Oh,
you
my
don't need to cook, Mom. I'm just like, all right.
Let him do it. Okay.
I know. And he's happy to do it. I'm like, thank God, because I hate cooking. But they like to eat.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Kids definitely like to eat.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. Anyway,
right.
I didn't mean to take you down that whole big tangent.
No, I mean, that's actually like, I think
the
that
real
there's a lot of,
stuff.
I mean, there's a lot of value in that. I think that, I don't know, those are like rough conversations that people don't have too often, you know, it's because it's very vulnerable, you know,
Yeah.
and
Well, I don't meet a lot of women who can like honestly relate.
No, I 100% relate. So if you need to take that conversation offline, I'll send you my phone number.
I very well will probably take you up on that at some point, especially when I think you had mentioned one day, like doing the ugly bathroom crying.
Oh,
like, man, who do you reach out to when you're sunk in that hole? Because nobody gets it, right?
Yeah.
Like, most people don't get it.
No.
I'll be like, Melissa will get it.
I'll get it. I'm probably on the bathroom floor crying too.
It'll be an ESP kind of moment, like we were there together. Oh my gosh, my eyes twitch. I've had this eye twitch for 6 months, right? It's maybe even longer than pre-COVID. So I guess it's been longer than that. But I realized it was stress related. It started to spread across my face, and then I was starting to have muscles. Like, it was scary. I thought there was something seriously wrong. And now I'm realizing it's mostly stress induced.
I was going to say it's probably stress.
Yeah, but now that we're like, it's so funny because I make that joke to all my friends. I'm like, you're making my eye twitch. Conversations.
And there's nothing worse too. You're talking to someone, you can feel it just jumping the whole time.
Oh, my eyelid goes like this. So it's very distracting. Anyway. All right. I'm in a million different directions today. I apologize.
No, I'm like right there with you. I have the worst ADD ever. So
that's how we end up as entrepreneurs, right?
I think
trying to rein in our ADD or use it to for a good purpose. People always ask me, how do you multitask so much? It's like, well, I'm pretty sure I have ADHD and I just try to make the best of it. That is my life.
And that's hard. You know, I will say one thing. I don't know if you were on, so one of the more podcasts that we did, I was telling them about this thing that I had heard in a meditation that I had done. And this is back to the ugly bathroom floor crying, because that's how my brain goes. But one of the things that they suggested was, like, when you get in those moments like that, especially have a partner and you do a gratitude check. So it's basically like, you know, when you're down like that and somebody sees it, or you reach out to them and it's like, all right, 10 things you're grateful for right now in this moment. And it makes you stop and you're trying to think of 10 things, and it like takes your mind out of it.
Yeah. So
I told them about that because I thought that was kind of a cool thing. And so we've all done it a couple of times now, the four of us. Like, if we're in a way, we'll send a group message, and we do a quick little, like a video You know, it's like, okay, I'm feeling very bad right now. Like I remember Peely one night, like I could just see in her face that she was just like, I cannot do one more thing right now. And she just looked so broken and sad in that moment. And she did the gratitude 10 and put it in the group message with us. And then we all responded back with 10 things too, because each person has to do it. So when you have an accountability person or whatever, you know, it's like you do it, you know, to help you feel better, but then the other person does it too, you know, and it's just for those things in that moment. And it's really powerful. It's been pretty cool and helpful, I think.
I'm not to try that. I was on that call actually where you mentioned that, and I forgot all about it. I'm glad you brought that back up.
Yeah, we've been doing it. So I'm going to give you my phone number. And if you feel like that, just text me gratitude 10 help.
Okay.
SOS.
Okay. And I'll just shoot a little video and text it to you. Is that how you guys do it? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I can do that.
And then I'll send you one back, and
I'm hoping it'll be a little while before I hit that slump, but we know it's coming, right?
No, it's always there.
It's always like this.
I know. Why is that? I feel like I'm doing really good one day, and then the next day it's just like, whoa. It's like, what happened? I was on a roll.
I do feel like there's some correlation between the entrepreneur type personality and that more like bipolar almost highs and lows. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Especially for me, when I get excited, I get like really excited. Like my business partner is much more calm and level, but she doesn't exactly have the entrepreneur like personality type. She just kind of, I don't want to say fill into that from working with me, but she has it a little bit, just not quite as much as me. Like I've always been like that my whole life. And anytime I call her and I'm just like super pumped up, like I've got this great idea. It's like, she has to really rein me back in. She's like, whoa, like, cause I'll just be like, we could do this and this and this, and it's going to be great. And I feel like it's like that for the ups. Like I'm always the one that's like, let's go, you know, change the world today, right now we can do this. But then I'm also the one that gets really more, I'm not as even keeled as she is. I wish I was.
I know, right? It's like the high and then the really low. And it's hard to ride that middle, I think.
It is. Yeah.
I totally relate to that. But it's good that you have a business partner that's like that, because I think that's really helpful, actually, that have somebody that's like balance that out a little bit and kind of like, okay, that sounds like a great idea, but we need to do this and this and then like, and just kind of like, okay.
Well, she's really good at playing devil's advocate for me too, and thinking like, I know in your head what you're thinking, Michelle, but here's how it's going to hit other people. Like, cause obviously your whole job is to serve other people with whatever product, service, whatever you're doing. Right. So she's like, okay, think about it from this. She's very good at doing that, like playing that devil's advocate. And it's like, okay, all right, I see what you're saying. makes me think of it from a much more well-rounded place. So yeah, who knows what I'd be doing if I hadn't, we started working together 2010, so 10 years ago. And yeah, I probably would have been all over the place doing God knows what.
Yeah,
who knows?
It's tough. It's tough. So speaking of, how did the Smartycats launch go?
It was good. It's, you know, it's going to take time to build momentum, which I think is the hardest part. You know, when you're starting something and you're putting your whole heart out there and you're in that really vulnerable place, trying to get it like revved up. It's hard to keep that. It's hard to get the ball rolling. But I'm really proud of what we've been able to do so far. So I'm just reminding myself every day, like it's going to be a process. You know, nothing's an overnight sensation, not most things anyway. So, but it's good. We're just trying to figure out how to transition fully, and we were just yesterday talking about like, okay, we did need to switch away from our old model, but there were some components to that model that were really great. Like the fact that we were a B2B business and we were able to just go to schools and recs, and they would go to all the, you know, advertise to all the kids and basically bring the kids to us. It was like a symbiotic relationship. And it's like, we don't really have to walk away from that completely. We can still do virtual stuff or offer them discounts for like a subscription that's specific to their school and you know, instead of like, why aren't we tapping into that? Basically, we built that for 12 years. Why are we not tapping into that? So it's a process, you know, but it's good. I'm really excited about the direction of it.
So do you know like where it's going to go now? Like what are you keeping and what do you want to implement now to change
We just
that?
don't want to have to do the in-person programs anymore. Not in the immediate future anyway. Eventually, so what we had been working towards up until pre-COVID, like, just this past year, 2019, was we were kind of going in towards like a franchise model, except we didn't want to have to do the franchise model has a lot of legalities, a lot of it kind of boxes you in, and it's very expensive for the franchisee, right? And a lot of the people that it's mostly women. I don't like to say women, but it just happens to be mostly women that want to do this kind of business. They don't have, $35,000 or whatever you would need to buy into a franchise. So we were trying to basically, I don't want to say coach, but kind of partner with women around the country. So like, hey, we have this business model. We know it works. We've got all this curriculum. If you want to run this in your area, let's partner up, but we didn't want to just hire employees all over because their heart's not in it the same way. And we were kind of getting tired of layers and layers and layers of employees. That was like burst, like our passion flame was being put out by
managing people,
by managing employees. Yeah, 100%. And we were getting so far removed from being in front of the kids and what we were passionate about. So we're like, okay, how can we expand? Because we knew we wanted to go nationwide, but again, kind of keep the good components of what we're doing and steer away from the bad, which was up until now, our model had been like, get more contracts, hire more employees, get more contracts, hire more employees. And it's like, okay, we can't keep doing that forever. We'll burn ourselves out. So anyway, eventually we'll go back to in-person where we do it like that, where we're not the ones hiring employees. We're going to find other people who want to run their own children's program like this, but they're going to run it. We'll give you all the tools you need and we'll even partner with you, but you're going to run it because you can't have that liability or all of the, worrying about people calling out all the time and things like that. When you're running your own business, you're not going to call out, right? It's different.
That's true.
So anyway, we'll go back to that eventually, but for us, we want to stay virtual because we really see the power now in being able to, like, I'm not face to face with the kids. I mean, we will bring some kids on like Zoom and do projects with them. But I'm still able to connect, even though it's through a screen, like whether it's YouTube, whether it's like through our interactive website. Like, for example, right now we're working on building where they would come on and not just watch a lesson, but say it's making slime, right? They would get to click through and it would be like me asking them, what kind of slime would you like to make today? And they get to click. And then it would move to me doing, okay, awesome. Do you want to add, let's test adding this and this and see what happens. And they would click. Like, it's them getting to do an experiment through us, like as puppets almost. So it's really interactive.
That's really cool. So it's like a choose your own adventure kind of thing.
Exactly.
Right?
And so like, say, I don't know, say for example, you've got liquids and you've got some powders out and you're like, do you want to see what will happen when we mix these together? Of course, you and I know if you end up with baking soda and vinegar, what's going to happen, but the kids don't know necessarily. That one they might, but there's a lot of ingredients that they don't know what happens when you mix them. And maybe they don't have them at home to sit there and physically do it, but they can do it through the computer screen. Yeah. And I can say, pick your powder, and they'll pick it, and it'll switch to a part in the video that is me picking that powder. And then,
do you have them say like, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, you could do a pause, right? Yeah. Exactly. And then I'll do it for them, and they can see, and I could talk about it, and they can observe it with me. But I feel like it takes that interaction. It's almost like, did you grow up on Bill Nye the Science Guy? Because I did.
I remember Bill Nye. But
if you're a science geek like me, I loved Bill Nye. That, Mythbusters, I always loved those shows. How it was made, those kind of things. Mm-hmm. It's almost like that type of direction, but interactive. Like, we really, connecting with the kids is so, so important to us. And so that originally that was our hang up. Like, how do we go virtual? Everybody's like, well, just go virtual. I'm like, how? It doesn't translate the same, our teachers being in a Zoom room with the kids. Yeah. It just doesn't. So how are we, and it's not scalable, So I was like, how are we going to do that? Because if every time we fill up a Zoom classroom with 15, 20 kids, we have to hire another teacher. It just wasn't like, by the time there was no money to be made in it. It wasn't scalable. The teachers have a really hard time connecting through Zoom if they're not super passionate about it. So anyway, as we started realizing, okay, well, if Sam and I, my business partner, are the face of it again, I feel like our passion does translate through video or through, when we do interactive stuff. I feel like people can feel that passion, even though it's like we're talking right now. I feel like you can feel that energy, right?
Yeah, definitely. So
we're like, if we stay the faces of it, I think we could take this somewhere. And this is what we're passionate about. So it's a lot more fun than, than what we were doing before.
Yeah. And I feel like that seems like really scalable and fun too. Cause I'm just thinking like, So I sit here with my son, we're doing remote learning, and I sit there with him on the Zoom calls and I watch, and he is like all over the place with stuff, like he can focus for a certain amount of time, and he does better than some of the other kids. I see some of those other kids in the classroom in the meeting. I'm like, oh my God, like kids like putting their face like right in the camera and, not muting themselves all the time and just like completely not engaged. But it's because I really think, now that you said that, and I don't know if this is helpful or not, but like, it's because there's no interaction other than the teacher like presenting the stuff and then like, okay, who knows the answer? And then like one kid gets to unmute themselves and say what the answer is. It's usually my kid because he likes to participate. But I think he's wanting that though. He's wanting to participate somehow. And when they're just sitting there like watching something and there's no back and forth, like there would be in a classroom.
Right.
I think there's something to that. And I love that whole, like, that's a cool idea. If you could take a bunch of experiments, because this would be scalable, I think. And this might be what you're thinking anyway, but like taking all those experiments and like breaking them down, and then having a like, okay, what do you think is going to happen? And then they can, type of or click a button, okay, I want to try this. And then they click a button, like you said, and then like it shows what, the next part of the experiment. And then, well, what if we did this? And then they get to, so there's more like, and it's
they're in control of it. Yeah. It's very interactive. And like you said, it definitely needs to be engaging. And our whole philosophy with Smartycat Kids or now Smartycat TV, is kids don't really retain we're anti-lecture, like we hate lecturing. So we don't, even when we start the classes, we don't sit there and say like, here's what we're going to do today. And like, you know what I mean? It's more like, we do say, here's what we're going to do today, but it's all questions. Like, what do you think would happen if? And like, here's a problem we're trying to solve. Like, say, like, I think I might've mentioned this before, but like build a machine that can kick a ball, right? There's materials over there. Here's your problem you need to solve. We need this ball kicked, right? How can you do that? And it's all very like, asking them questions. And we've had like, we do like a model roller coaster lesson where they do like marbles that go around tracks. And I remember just one child was like, well, can we make the second loop bigger than the first loop? And I know the answer, I've been through physics class, but we don't tell them the answer. It's even if we know it, it's like, well, how could you find out that answer to your own question? He's like, well, I'll build it and test it. Exactly. So build a track that has the bigger loop first, and does it work? And then build a track that has the bigger loop second, and does it work? And then when it doesn't, because, and I won't get into all that now, but then we can ask them why. Why do you think that it doesn't work to do it this way? And get them thinking. And it's all just lots of questions and lots of getting their own wheels spinning in their heads, So I feel like that can translate, and definitely the technology is so amazing. I mean, it's a huge learning curve for us to figure out how to do all this digital stuff. But interactive video is definitely where things are going. And if we can kind of get ahead of that curve and have like the interactive video up, and once you create it once, that software is there forever,
That's
once
what I'm thinking. That's like an evergreen thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So we're planning on doing like subscription services where parents will get at least 1 lesson a week, 1 to 2 lessons a week. And for as long as they want to stay subscribed, and they can, every time we roll out a new lesson like this, they have access to it. So it's exciting. It's definitely scalable. And it puts us back on the front line, so to speak, which is what I've been craving. I've really been missing being the one to, I get super excited and empowered when I see kids getting excited, and like you see them, it's really like that passion. You can see it like starting to bubble inside them. Like that's what gives me life. Like, I want to do that forever till I physically can't anymore. So I'm excited about it. Yeah.
You know what else might be super cool? And this could be like a down the road thing or something maybe, or I don't know how this could work, but even if you did like kind of a combination of the thing, but like what if the kids could get like a kit every month, like a box kit, like something that looks really, really cool. And it's a subscription, like a box subscription, like I get box subscriptions for stuff, but like a science experiment box, and like, here's all the stuff you need to like, do this experiment. And then, we're going to do this together, virtually or whatever, or here's the video that goes with it. It'd be really cool if you could combine those components somehow, of like the interactive part, but then also give them materials to do it, and just find like some,
definitely. Yeah. At some point we'll probably add that in. Logistically, it's a lot more complex. And we like the box kits that they have out now, but the main thing we don't like is that step-by-step, like here, step 1, do this, step 2. We feel like that pulls away from, they're not figuring out their own steps to the solution. Right. So, but I like what you're saying. If it goes along with a video and there's not that step-by-step instruction, it's exactly like what we would do at a class. Yeah. Just give them a box. Yeah. That's a great idea. Eventually
here's a box of stuff, and here's a cool thing that we're going to do. So make sure that you're logged in on Thursday at 5:00 or whatever, because we're going to, test this stuff out.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's a good idea.
And then you can like get a bunch of kids together from all over the place, not even necessarily in schools, but, kids that just like science that want to do, extra or whatever, just make it like a fun, almost like a club.
Exactly.
Like a science club kind of thing.
Exactly. We call our subscription thing our Smartycat community. Maybe we should change it to club. That sounds cooler for kids. But it's that same, it's like that same principle. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like be an exclusive member of this cool. I like club. I think I'm going to bring that up to my partner. But yeah, that's exactly it. We want it to be a culture, a community. We really want everybody, because you do feed off each other. It's so much different than like opening up a box and it being like, put this piece here and then put that piece there. Then, like you said, having it in front of you and hopping on and everybody brainstorming. What are we going to do? What are some ideas? And seeing it, each other doing it. So,
well, that not only encourages creative thinking, but also collaboration too. If they are getting on there together and it's like, okay, guys, like, here's all the stuff, like, what can we do with this? And like, what do you think is going to happen? And what do you think is going to happen? And, just because I
even put that in video form, but then have like, instead of somebody instructing it, it could be just people monitoring like the group chats or whatever is going on. It doesn't have to be us, because that's again where we can't really scale it if it's us first, however many kids. But if it's a video that we put out, and then there's all kinds of tools where you can, even on Facebook, you can like group them into different groups and they can do a team challenge and then they can hop back on together and display what they all made. Like that's where we'll have to have employees come into play to scale, but it's just them helping guide the kids. It's not, you know what I mean? Like it's very different than being the one instructing and trying to get that passion across when you don't really, some of our instructors were great and did have that passion, but a lot of them are, part-time employees that are there for a paycheck. So it's just a difference.
Well, it's hard to be inspiring when it's that situation, but
exactly.
That could be, I think you're really onto something there. And I do agree, like everything with technology and being remote and all that I don't think that's going to go away. Yeah. I think that's something that's here to stay. Now, whether it's like full-time or maybe, part-time with that kind of stuff, like, I don't know. I do see a lot more parents though going for the homeschooling route. I've even got friends that have just decided to completely homeschool, like not even like the remote learning, like I'm doing homeschool, but it's through the school and it's like their curriculum and everything. But like, I have some friends that are just like, you know what, forget school. Like, I'm just going to do it myself.
Right. Yeah. It takes a lot of the logistical issues out of it. And then, if I'm going to be homeschooling anyway, I might as well do it my way. Right.
Exactly. And that could be a whole nother market to tap into too.
Absolutely.
Get all those, because I know that homeschool parents, like I know that they do form groups and stuff to socialize their kids and do different things like that. So that could be an opportunity also just to like,
absolutely.
market to them.
Absolutely.
I think it'll create your own classroom.
Parents. Yeah. And I think even beyond, like, it doesn't need to be such formal education either. I still think, like, regardless of when kids go back to school, hopefully the world will go back to normal. I'm really rooting for that. Yeah. I mean, it is going to be a new normal to some extent though, but even just the kid, the parents that it's Saturday morning and Saturday morning cartoons aren't really a thing anymore. So it's like a safe place that kids can still hop on, because we're working on developing an app and everything. So it's like, hand your kid a tablet and they're doing some super fun stuff, but it's all good for them. And a lot of our stuff focuses on like stuff you can find around the house, right? So if it's not a box kit, but it's like, hey, if you can find a popsicle sticker or whatever, here's something fun that you can do at home. I don't think the need for that ever goes away, right? Because there's always going to be busy parents, even if you're just trying to cook dinner and you want to put something on for your kid, or even, whatever the situation is. I think there will always be a market for hand your kids something that can keep them entertained, but this is not only entertained, they're also developing positive skills while they're doing it. So that's what keeps me really excited about it is, I'm a parent that every now and then is like, here, just watch YouTube on your tablet because I need a minute. I would love for there to be some, I would love for it to be like, hey, go do this interactive, like go make some slime on your tablet. You know what I mean? Like go and do this experiment and come back and tell me what you observed or what you learned. So well, I don't think it's going anywhere for sure.
No. And I think if they have like a safe place to do that too, because then, the world's becoming a smaller place. Like they make friends in other places and, they're all kind of, into science or whatever, it's something that, I don't know, just expands their life in some way,
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, really, if kids anywhere with an internet connection can hop on, it could be Saturday morning for, our kids here, but you can have somebody from the other side of the world hopping on and it's evening for them. And they're all doing the same project together. I mean, I think culturally how much that would expand our kids. I would love that if my kids could hop in a classroom and they're building a recycled machine together, brainstorming with, somebody from England and somebody from India and wherever, I think that would be amazing.
Yeah. So, that just gave me goosebumps because I feel like there's definitely something there. I was just thinking about like, my son again, like he plays Fortnite, which, is not my favorite thing, but he has got to know some kids from different places and there is that, even though it's a video game, they collaborate, they create teams and they work together and stuff. And I think there's something positive about that.
That connection. Yeah. I think it's something our generation will never fully understand, how you can have that connection with anybody or across the world got so much smaller, right? I mean, they can all really be connected and they're going to grow up in that and expand upon that. In ways that we can't even really get because we didn't grow up that way. We grew up like, go get a cup of sugar from your neighbor because we're out. Now they're like, go say hi to your friend Raj from India for me or whatever it may be. I mean, it's really cool. It's really, it gets me excited too, to think about that, to be able to reach so many kids and allow that connectedness. It's so important. So
it is. And that's one thing I feel like, my kids, where they go to school, they just, when my daughter started middle school, so she's in 7th grade now. Yeah, 6th grade. Think about that for a minute. When I went to the open house in 6th grade, they run you through. So I got to go through her whole class schedule and be in each teacher's classroom for like 5 or 10 minutes and hear about, whatever. But one of the things that I love that they started doing was I kept seeing this poster in all the classrooms and I don't even remember what the acronym was or whatever, but basically they have really put a focus on collaborative learning. And that was never a thing. I mean, we had like group projects and it's just like, you got who you got. And there was like one person does all the work kind of thing, always. But they have made it part of the curriculum and it's actually part of their grade. It counts just as much. They have a collaboration grade. So they have like a test, test grade, homework grade, classwork, and then collaboration.
That's awesome.
And that's a major, part of their grade. So they have to learn how to work together on projects and stuff, not just like an art, or whatever. Like in all the classes, they have to do collaborative learning. It's just part of the curriculum now. And I think that I was just like, this is awesome.
Yeah. That's really cool. Good. You think about like the generation that they're in, technology is everything. And it, industrial, this is like going on a tangent, but industrial age, everything's very linear, right? Like we went from, I don't know, plowing our own crops to figuring out machines that can do it. And now you can, get 10 times as many crops with one machine or that replaced one horse or whatever. And then, but now with technology, I mean, it's so exponential. Right. And so, and how does all of that work? I mean, it's not usually one person, it's all people coming together and like garages and coming up with like new software. And I mean, and then it's just exponential how much change can come from it. So it's impossible for kids, I feel like, to be successful as they're emerging into their careers and whatnot without having that component. So that's amazing. I think that's fantastic that they're doing that. Right?
Yeah. I think it also really promotes innovation too. Like
exactly.
If you think about it, it's like you're collaborating. Well, just like we're, talking about stuff in business, like I'm talking to people all the time about their business and stuff like that. And it's like, once you start talking, you start collaborating, it's like, oh, but what if you tried this? And what if you tried, that's innovation,
Absolutely.
That's like, how can we do this different? How can we do this better? How can we make this more interesting? How can we make it more fun? They're just like, it opens up. And then when you have all these different perspectives too, you think about like kids from different places, like they've got different experience. They have different perspectives than, my kids would, a kid from somewhere else, even in our country, we've got cultural differences and, economic differences and all these different things that could be really helpful and just, I don't know, innovating new products and
absolutely just like we were talking about with my business partner and I, I need that other perspective. You only know what you know, and it's all through your lens of your experiences. You're so right. And so when you get near other people that can share different perspectives, it makes all the difference. That's very exciting, and that's encouraging to hear, because I think our educational system has had a huge lag. Like there's so much change going on in the world, and yet the education system has stayed kind of the same in the way that they do things for so long. I think it's starting to come around, and that, lets me know right there that your school doing that kind of change, they understand the different needs of the kids. But it used to be so much memorization and standardized testing and just getting ready for a career. And now it's like, no, everything's about innovation. Really? You don't even need to go to college. I mean, not saying that kids shouldn't, but you certainly.
Honestly, I don't promote it. I mean, if you need to, it's fine. I'm not saying like don't go to college by any means, but it's not right for everybody.
Exactly.
Like my two of my kids, one has finished college, the other one's in her final year of college, and then the other one, she just goes sporadically, and it's fine because that's what works for her. She's not, she doesn't really, school's very difficult for her, and she doesn't plan on having a career that really she would need to have a college education.
Right.
So something her and me and her dad have gone back and forth about, because he's like, you need to get a business degree, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, well, hello, I've been running a business for 17 years with no business degree. Like I learned the hard way, but I can take what I've learned and I can share it with her if that's the path that she wants to take. And she doesn't necessarily need to go to college. Just that experience alone, just jumping in and doing something, has taught me a ton that, I love to share with other people. And then you put in like collaboration and creative thinking and stuff. And then, you find people that you plug people in where you're weak, and just know where you're strong. And, that's how you turn it into something. You don't have to go to college to do that.
Exactly. In the information age, I mean, you really don't. Anything you need to learn how to do, you can learn how to do it, and then like you said, and then the things that you're just naturally weak at, don't try to learn them. It's collaborate with people.
Everything.
Exactly.
You just need to know the people that can do it. That's that's my philosophy. It's like, you don't need to know everything. I don't need to be an expert in everything, like accounting. Well, now I like actually not that bad at accounting, but like CPA stuff, taxes and all that. I'm like, no, I don't care to know anything about that. I have no interest in that. I'm gonna leave that to somebody that's what they do. They're the expert. Right. I don't want to touch it. But when you know that, and then you can outsource those things, I think it's good.
Yeah.
But my daughter and I were talking, she had a sleepover with a friend. I was picking her up, and her friend were talking about their college career and readiness class that they're in, that they're all excited about. And I was like, that's cool. Like, do you guys like it? Are you getting anything out of it? And they were like, we're watching the Bee Movie. And I said, this is college career and readiness. You're watching the Bee Movie. Why are you watching the Bee Movie? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. With
he doesn't want to be just the regular worker bee, right?
Well, that's what she said. So then she tells me, she's like, I said, why are you watching that? And she goes, well, because we were talking about, worker mentality and being a worker and stuff. And I was like, hold on. I could feel like my face flushing, like, are they teaching you that at school? Like, is that what this is? Like, why are they teaching you how to be a worker? I'm not okay with that. So then I had to just go off on a weird thing. And I think her friend was like, oh my God. Because I'm like, you need to change your mentality. That is not an entrepreneur mindset. You want to work for somebody else for the rest of your life? Or do you want to be a lifelong learner, and create something of your own that you can control instead of, so as long as you work for somebody else, everything you do is to that end, which is fine if that's something you're passionate about.
Right. Exactly.
Like if you're a doctor or you're, whatever, and you want to save lives, obviously you have to go to college to do that. And you have to work in a hospital or something probably, but
yeah, or engineers and architects. If you're going to build skyscrapers, you probably should know your.
Yeah, I'm not saying go just do an online class and then you can build a skyscraper.
YouTube it. Just YouTube it. It's all the information you know. No, obviously there's exceptions. Yeah. And even like, some people are super passionate about their W-2s, and that's great. If you're part of a company where you believe in the bigger mission and you know that you're a piece that helps get the entire company toward that mission, that's great.
Right.
But that's not reality for a lot of people. It's this mindset of like, get a steady job and work your way up the ladder and yada, yada, yada. My parents were pissed when I became a business owner. They were mad.
Mine weren't mad. I think they were confused. They were like, I hope it works. I think I remember my mom saying, I hope it works out. I'm just like, really?
My mom said,
too.
I told her I was going to, cause I figured I'd be a high school biology teacher. I'm bioscience, educationally, that's my background. And so I was like, well, like really, what do you do with bioscience? I didn't want to go work at a lab or anything. So I was like, I love working with kids. I'll probably just be a high school biology teacher. And then when I formed this business, when I realized, because I kept getting requested more and more to do these hands-on science classes for younger kids, I was like, okay, I can make a business of this. And I went and told them, I was like, I'm not going to pursue that path anymore. I'm going to do my own science programs. And all she said to me was, you do know that 85% of new businesses fail, right? And that's all she said. I was like, yep. That means 15% succeed, Ma. Thanks for the pep talk.
Yep. I had the same kind of reception. And then of course, once it became successful, then they were very proud.
Exactly.
But that initial, like, are you sure?
Yeah.
I hope it works out for you.
It's not the traditional. Well, I watched this Jim Carrey speech. He gave like a commencement speech. I forget at which school. And I watch it every year. It pops up like in my memories. But he talks about his dad, and he's like, my dad wanted to be a comedian, but he took the quote unquote safe job. I don't know if you've heard this story. He's like, and he worked for this company for 20 years or something like that. And then they let him go. And here he was, with his family, and how are you going to keep a roof over their heads? How are we going to feed them? And he said in that moment, he realized you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well go for what you do want, right? And that's stuck with me so hard over the years. Like, he's like, just go for it, because nothing in life is safe or secure. You never know. No. And you might as well do your own, try to make something. If that's what you want to do, if that's what you're passionate about, you might as well go for it. Because it's kind of a twisted way to think about it, right? Like, you could fail at anything, but it's true. It's like,
it's true.
Might as well.
And then the other side of that too, is like just your quality of life, like I look at my dad, and I love my parents, and it's a lot better now than it was when I was growing up. But like, my dad has worked at the same place for like 40 something years. He said, like, I think it's been like 40, I don't know. I think 40 years, same place. I would die.
Yeah.
Literally die. And I swear, like, I just can't. And I understand it. Like, I understand it was coming from a place like, I need to provide for my family kind of a thing. But it makes me sad more than anything, like, to know, like, did he have any hopes, dreams, aspirations? Like, was there ever anything he really was passionate about that he wanted to do with his life? But he just went and got up, and he works in a plant, in a coal plant, power plant. It's like, I mean, he worked his way up, but he's still, he works in an office now, but he was like a mechanic forever, like while I was growing up, and like working weird hours and different shifts and like overtime, and they'd have shutdowns and all this crazy stuff. And, he gets up at the same time every single day, goes to work, drives the same route every single day, comes home the same, same time, like everything is the same for so long. And it's just heartbreaking to me to think that, like, what a waste of a life, in a way.
Yeah. Where's the excitement, the adventure?
Yeah. Like never pursuing something, not even trying to pursue something, and I know that there was safety and everything in that job. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate all that he was able to provide for us. I mean, we never had a ton, but we always had what we needed. We always had enough, there was never any extra, but it was enough. And man, like not going for it. It's like, what could he have done? He's smart, who knows? So.
Yeah. And everybody's, I guess what they're hoping to get out of life is different. Right.
Yeah.
So, cause I honestly don't think everybody should be an entrepreneur. I think some people are so miserable at the risk really bothers them. And if you can't handle a little bit of the risk component and it is a roller coaster ride, you're going to be miserable, like working for yourself. Yeah. You might be better working for somebody else, but at least make sure, like, again, that it's something that you believe in the bigger mission, that because you're a component of whatever company, whether you own the company or you don't own the company, you're a piece of this entity, right? That's right. Putting something out into the world. And so if you don't believe in what's being put out there, I think that's where the real like regret would come from. Like, what was I a part of? What was my purpose this whole time, and looking back. And yeah, I've been I'm like you though. I would be absolutely miserable. I would go nuts. Yeah. I have to be constantly evolving or I'm miserable.
Yeah, it is. It's a weird, interesting thing, but being an entrepreneur has been fun though. I mean, and it is rough, and it is like, just, like we talked about earlier, just your mindset and everything, and trying to, it's like, who's going to hold me accountable? I got to hold myself accountable, and I have trouble with that sometimes, and so there's its own challenges, but then I think it's just also so rewarding, especially when it is something that you're passionate about. And you, like, clearly you're passionate about Smartycats TV, which I think is awesome. And I did tell my son's teacher about that, and I still need the link. She was interested though. I told her about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk with her directly even, and get a teacher's perspective and say, what are you needing right now when it comes to you and your kids? What would be helpful? But I'd love to do some videos for some classrooms and things like that. That would be awesome. Help teachers out too.
Yeah. Maybe you can use them for a guinea pig or something.
Yeah. Cause they've all got, well, I shouldn't say all. Our schools have like smart boards, and that's the direction a lot of schools are going into. So it's like, you could easily pop up a video that the kids could just sit there and follow along. That's where those kits would be a great thing too. And like teachers, I'm sure would love to have the prepackaged kit, and they don't have to do any of the prep work. That'd be awesome. So anyway.
Well, it's like a resource thing too, but like, I'm thinking, I mean, that would be really cool. Like they, one thing that they do that I think is pretty neat is, they changed some of the stuff for the at-home learning. So they have this system, I forget what it's called. I'll have to look it up and tell you later, but it's basically, they got some kind of software now where, because they use a lot of outside programs, so it would be like Smartycats TV. They use like Reading Eggs and, I don't know. There's like a bunch of other
different apps and
and so basically this software has one login now, which I love. So they log into this one thing, this portal thing, and with their student ID and everything. But then within that is all the apps for all the things. So like his Seesaw's in there. They use this program called Seesaw for their classwork. So like his homework or his work assignments. So like you can click on the Seesaw app and do your work there. And then they have the Google Meet app in there. And then they've got the Reading Eggs in there for, to log in to do extra reading. And then they've got like a math app, but they're all these apps, and it's all just like housed really nicely in one place. Because before I had to have like, here's your login for this, and here's the login for this, and here, and have to go to all the different pages for everything. It was a real pain in the butt. So now they've got it all like really nice in one place. And I could see having like a Smartycats app link in there for them to even click on. Cause some of it is like, they don't use every day, but it's like additional resources for them. So that'd be
awesome.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
We'd love to be able to provide some of that, you know, and it's fun to watch too. It gives the kids a little bit of a mental break. It's entertainment. We call it well, we didn't come up with this term, but it fits into that edutainment, you know, category where, and the kids need that. It can't be so robotic all the time. And so like, you know, it's going to be exciting for them to want to stay engaged. So
for sure. Trying to keep an 8-year-old boy's attentions. Like I've seen it. It's not easy.
Get them thinking about what kind of eruptions they could do with stuff around their house.
That's, you know, when you said that earlier, I was going to say this because I was thinking about it, but like some of the most fun things that we've done at home learning stuff, not this year so far, but last year, because they started, well, last school year, because we went in quarantine in March. And some of the most fun things that we've done is like, go find this and this and this around the house, where it was real interactive. So, you know, he's like, can you help me find something? You know, like I have to find 8 red things and take a picture of it and upload it, you know, and make it into a creative thing. And then another thing, like in art class, like they had to go, she's like, go find some leaves and some sticks and some flowers and whatever, like from your backyard, and like lay it out like in a mandala or whatever, and then take a picture of it. And I was like, this is fun. Like I had fun doing it too, you know, but it was just like stuff around the house that made them, it was interesting and fun and educational at the same time.
Exactly. It's like a scavenger hunt, and then you get to make something with what you've got. Exactly.
Which could be another idea, like a science scavenger hunt, like find these things around your house, you know, and we're going to do an experiment with it.
Absolutely. Yep. All kinds of creative stuff. And like we even did one virtual class where we used gumdrops and toothpicks and uncooked spaghetti to build structures. But there are some kids that hopped on. This is one where we did do a Zoom. There were some kids that hopped on that didn't have any of that stuff. So there was one little girl that used Play-Doh, and she rolled it up into little balls for gumdrops, and then bobby pins. And she built a really cool structure out of Play-Doh balls and bobby pins. And it's like, I feel like that's such an invaluable skill for kids to learn, to be resourceful like that, because I think that is part of that mindset that determines who's going to be successful and who's not, is are you able to be resourceful, or are you going to tell yourself why you can't do it? Or are you going to say, no, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to figure out how with what I have right now, right? Like do what you can with what you have. That if that's the mindset, they'll try so many different things that they wouldn't, you know, otherwise try. So I think that alone is a skill, or is like a muscle that needs to be worked out in not only kids, but adults. If they can get that young though, that goes right hand in hand with the innovation and everything, right? You're not going to be very innovative if you don't know how to be resourceful. Exactly. So
that's a great point. That is a really great point, because it would be interesting just to even see how the kids handle it. You know, like here's the stuff, like who's going to actually take action. I would look, it would be an interesting experiment for me as a parent, just to see like, okay, who's going to use the exact things that they're supposed to use, and who's going to really be creative with this, do the same thing, but with different materials, you know, who's going to be the outside of the box person. Because that's the kid I'd want to keep an eye on.
Exactly. Yeah. You're still solving. So we give you a problem to solve, right? We want you to construct a structure, but you're able to think of how you can solve it. That's not necessarily, you know, the way that you were told. Absolutely. You're right. Those are the kids to watch for sure.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, thank you so much. We just rambled on and on.
I don't know how you're going to edit this. I appreciate the conversation very much.
Yeah, no, that was really fun. And I think there's a lot of help. There's a lot of great overlap there, just, you know, with mindset and business and education and kids. And like, that's something I'm really excited about, is just like helping kids understand like the mindset and the things that we learn running a business. How do we pass that on to our kids? And, you know, like, so I think this is some helpful stuff. It makes me think, you know, like, this is really cool.
Gets the gears going, right? That's what we hope to do. So definitely. And I appreciate you too. I mean, I was not paying attention to you. I have a notepad next to me. I was jotting down some of the things you were saying, because it's all great ideas. And it's like, oh yeah, that could be very helpful, you know, to add some more components to what we're doing. So one step at a time, we're getting there. And hopefully we can, hopefully we can just keep learning fun for kids, for parents. Just, I don't know. It's crazy times we're living in right now. So if we can take a little bit of the burden off parents, teachers, even the kids, it's tough on the kids too. I think I don't think they know how to articulate it as much. And I think, it's funny, I'll wrap this idea up fast, but like so many parents were worried about, my kids went back to school, but there's a lot of mandates, they have to wear the mask all day and there's a lot of different rules and stuff. I feel like the adults had such a hard time with that change, and my kids just rolled with the punches. Like they were just happy to be back in school. So all of these fears we had as parents of like, oh gosh, I have to wear a mask all day, it's going to be awful. And they're going to be so scared, little kids walking around with masks and whatnot. And really the kids, like my kids come home from school and I have to tell them to take their mask off because they forget, they're still wearing it. They've gotten so used to it. And at the bus stop, like I've gone and asked the kids, like, how's everybody doing? And kids are so much more adaptable. Mm-hmm. And they're not taking it as hard. I mean, there are things I'm sure that are struggle for kids, especially ones that don't do quite as well with change. So not to downplay that by any means, but kids are also super adaptive, and I don't know, they're resilient. So them going through this young, and then if they can also learn some valuable skills, like we said, the resourcefulness and the innovation and all that kind of stuff, the collaboration, man, this generation is going to go places for sure. And it'll be exciting to see what 20 years from now is like when they're all in our position. What
I was saying was like, it's either going to go really well or it's going to go like from all the homeschooling, like, am I doing a good enough job? I don't know. It's kind of scary. And, knowing now what I know, now that I've talked to parents that have sent their kids to school, I'm like, dang, I should have sent my kids to school. But, I felt like I had to make a decision without having a lot of information. And I felt like once I made the decision and I committed to it, then there was more information. It's like, well, darn, but it's too late now. I've already committed to this. So
honestly, whichever decision you made though, I mean, the kids are going to be fine. We'll all be fine. We'll get through it. It is a tough decision to do that. And they may end up shutting down, next week. We don't know, because we have our neighboring school district. They already have 5 cases of COVID that were confirmed. So it's like, well, I mean, they opened, but who knows? Everything's day to day. We're all just having to roll with the punches. I just think kids sometimes do a better job rolling with those punches than we do. But
and we probably worry more than they do, and maybe project some of that off onto them. So I'm trying to be mindful of that too. Like, I don't want to fear monger them or anything. I don't want them to be afraid of stuff, but I'm also kind of cautious, and just be careful, don't, stick your hands in your mouth or whatever. I don't
No more licking doorknobs.
Stop licking the walls. I don't know.
Everybody will be fine. Oh, speaking of kids, I can hear somebody knocking on my door. Just got off the school bus.
Well, it was great talking with you. And then real quick, do you just want to share how people can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on Facebook the most to connect. So people can look up Smartycat TV on Facebook, or myself, Michelle Oppelt, on Facebook. That's always good. Email is info@smartycattv.com if you want to message us directly. Any ideas, if you're a teacher, if you're a parent, if you've got ideas or could use help, we would love to hear from you, because that's who we're trying to serve right now. So everything on social media is under Smartycat TV. And again, feel free to reach out to me directly also.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Michelle. This was so fun.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, Melissa. Yep. All right. Take care.
Thanks.